There was a great question in the Netflix Conductor forums today about adding a wait time, just stopping the workflow for a certain period of time. And in the past, the wait task was a task that just stopped the workflow until you sent an API call to kickstart it again. That's no longer the case. I mean, that still is the case. You can still use the wait task that way. You can pause the workflow. We've also launched a task called the human task that works the same way. It just stops the workflow until you send an API call. But we've added to the wait task. And there's two ways we've done this. One is you can add a duration. So in this case, this wait task has a duration of 2 days and 3 hours. So the workflow will stop here for 51 hours, and then after 51 hours, it'll start up again, right? The other thing we can do is you could set up a wait until date. And you could say, hey, stop the workflow until Christmas Day at 9 Pacific. And that will also work. So you can stop the workflow until a specific time when something is going to happen, and then you can start it again. So I thought it'd be neat to give a demo of this. So I created a workflow that does this. And so this is a very simple workflow. It's a do while loop that goes 5 times. So it says, as long as the iterator is under 5, continue looping. And then this is my wait task. And so my wait task is called sleeper. And the duration of the sleep task is based on the input. So whatever sleepy time I send into the workflow, it'll pause for that many seconds. You can also put in minutes and hours and days. But I want to give a demo here in a reasonable amount of time, so I wanted to show this to you quickly. So here's the workflow that I ran. I ran the workflow with a sleepy time of 5 seconds. So you would imagine if it's looping 5 times with a wait of 5 seconds, it might take 25 seconds. Almost. It's not quite that simple because the wait task has a polling interval. And by default, the polling interval of the wait task is 30 seconds. So if you set the time for the wait to be under 30 seconds, it's going to take 30 seconds. And if you set it for longer than that, basically you're in increments of 30 seconds. So when I ran this workflow with a wait time of 5 seconds, because the wait task only polls every 30 seconds, you can see, let me just go here so we can actually see the timeline. We can see that the timeline, wait task 1 waited 30 seconds, sleeper 2, 30 seconds, right? So it took 2.5 minutes because the polling interval for the wait task is just 30 seconds. Just to prove that, I did another one where well, look here. Here's a workflow input output. I set the sleepy time to 35 seconds. So it's over that 30-second threshold. So we can expect that it just took a minute, right? Because it doesn't pull on 30 seconds, nothing there. Pulls at a minute and there's something in the queue. And if we look at the timeline, lo and behold, it took 5 minutes for this workflow to run. It took a minute for this one, a minute for that one, all the way through for 5. So the wait task now has this idea of you can set a duration, and the duration, if you don't change your basic conductor settings, is basically in sections of 30 seconds. So you can set a wait for 30 seconds, a minute, 90, 2 minutes, et cetera, on down. If you go in and change some of your default conductor settings and you have that wait task pull more often, then you could go faster. So anyway, this is a really cool feature. I encourage you all to check it out. It is in the open source. It is also live, as you can see here in the Orcus Playground at play.orcus.io. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and we'll be quick to get back to them. Thank you.